does the future hold for our musical vocabulary?
Oh shit, dude, that's deep. That's wow. I don't know if I've ever thought that deep about that. I
Yeah,
mean, when you really think about it, like there's a lot of things have been said on every instrument, and a lot of things have been played, and we build off of what has come before us. So I don't really know, to be honest with you. I that's a fuck. I think you stumped me already at the top. Wow.
well, you can't
Who
thank me
said
for
that?
that.
Who
It's
said that?
Per Nilsson. He's a sort of prog metal guitar player in the band Scar Symmetry. He played in
Okay.
Machine for a while. Um, he was like their guitarist for for like I think 5 or so years. It's
Wow. What a
technical.
question, man. Yeah.
It got me
Seems
thinking.
that he seems like a really thought-provoking guy.
Yeah, so
Like
he
like really thought about that.
yeah, it was because he was talking about like microtones and how do you know Jacob Collier? Another fellow.
Of course.
Yeah. He about how all the kind of microtonal stuff that he does, how he's like pushing the boundaries and how music used to be very like pentatonic and now it's kind of more we use all of the I don't know, but then pop music's kind of some of that's going back to more simpler stuff. Yeah, if you look at the Beatles, that was like quite complex compared to what's like around now, in terms of like
Right?
pop music. So I don't know. I don't know if microtones will ever be something that you can dance. Yeah, like I don't know if it's like got that vibe to it, but maybe I don't know.
I think if he keeps doing what he's doing, people are going to catch on and people are going to want to start digging into that type of what you said vocabulary. I mean he's a genius in everything he does. It's actually kind of wild. Like the rhythms that he chooses to go along with with the melodies and harmony. It's so dense too, and he can sing all of that. I think he has perfect pitch, if I'm not mistaken. So it's he's just,
Yeah.
yeah. But if people start to catch on and dig deep into stuff like that, I think it'll form its own I don't know, its own lane, I think. And that would be actually pretty cool to see where that comes. Like in talking about vocabulary in general, I feel like he's a pioneer in that level, in that vein, and he's taken us to a whole different world where it's also groovy and pop, and then it goes to all the nerds, the jazz nerds, and can also dig into it too. So he's actually combining a lot of different realms in music, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
Kind of like sorry, I don't mean to cut you. The delay is actually pretty crazy.
sorry, you carry on.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Quincy Jones too. So Quincy did all the jazz shit before all the pop shit with Mike. So he was kind of the pioneer bringing both of those together to make hit records with Michael. So he will probably be that next one to work with somebody like that. Well, I would love to. I don't know if he'll do it, but I would love to see something like that with an artist like that.
Yeah, if maybe like a more conventional artist could take like everything that's in Jacob's brain and kind of make it work. Like it's not like it doesn't work, obviously it does, but make it work for people who aren't necessarily going to spend, years of their life trying to learn how all these different musical devices work so that they can be more. Because I feel like I love like sort of prog metal and stuff, and there's a certain level of part of why I like it is because I feel like I understand it and it clicks.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people are just not interested in that, which is totally fair. Like you don't have to be. And I feel like some of Jacob's stuff, I find I'm listening to it and I know I'm sitting there going like, I feel like I kind of get this to an extent, not to the extent he gets it. But, and that's me having gone through like music school and stuff. There's probably a lot of people that kind of like it, but I feel like there's a certain element of it that you have to like unlock. And that's where I'm like wondering if our like vocabulary goes further, are people going to be willing or just interested enough to actually dig a bit deeper to then get the gratification back? So I don't know if that will happen because attention spans are just like nothing now. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it takes a guy like Jacob to, make all the videos and show everything he's doing to the people who don't have an attention span to bring light on that. So good on him for doing all of it,
Yeah, there's a really good video of him explaining some very complex music theory. And you're saying about him having perfect pitch. I don't know if you've seen this, where he's like humming loads of scales perfectly, and someone like plays the piano along, as he's
With him?
well, yeah. So like, he'll hum the scale, and there's a guy like reviewing the video who's got a piano and he's playing all these complex things out. It's so great to watch, and it's cool seeing how excited he gets about music. And I seeing someone
100%.
else get excited about stuff as much as he seems to.
Yeah.
It's quite cool. I've lately I started watching. When you find those like rabbit holes that you just end up going down. I've started watching these like espresso coffee making people, and because like they get so passionate about the most tiny details, but it's so satisfying to watch. It's like the coffee nerds making these like amazing. But now I want a really expensive coffee machine.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and I think that the you get that feeling because they love it so much. They love it, and that energy and just love for whatever craft that it could be that comes through the screen that you're watching. You're like, oh shit, I want to watch more of this. This is awesome. I see that a lot with working out. So a lot of the trainers that I work out with they have that thing. So I'm watching on Instagram of them, doing this with the kettlebell or that with the kettlebell. It's like, oh shit, they're getting it. So that makes me want to go, oh, I got to learn how to do that. Right. So yeah. I 100% get that.
With the sort of working out and stuff, I've seen you sharing a lot of it. Is it CrossFit that you do? Is that the kind of general vibe, or is that I've kind of seen it's kind of a mixture. So I work out at On It Gym here in Austin, Texas. The name of the whole program, or the way they see it, is called it's unconventional workout. Right. So it's everything from steel maces to kettlebells to also barbell stuff. So they do mix in a lot of CrossFit stuff with it. It's just a bunch of other movements as well. Yeah. So in some ways we are doing it. Yeah, because I'm interested to hear, because like the last over like the last year or so, like 2020, 2022, I don't even remember what the last year was.
I know, dude, it's crazy.
But like I wouldn't say I got massively out of shape, but I certainly became quite unfit. I wasn't like particularly overweight, but I was like not very fit. And I've spent the last like 6 months or so getting a lot fitter and just generally putting the time in. And I found so many other parts of life have benefited, that like, I'm, especially as a young guy, a lot of the reasons, I'm sure there are a lot of guys out there who are working out because they want to look good and they want to, and I just like, there's always a little bit of me that wants that, but like, I've just found the mental benefits as a musician, but also just like as a person, have been so great. Like, is that what kind of got you into working out that way? Because it looks like pretty intense, the stuff you're doing. Is it a mental thing? Is it like a physical thing? Is it a bit of everything? Like, what got you sort of passionate about it?
I think it's a bit of everything, for sure. It didn't start off that way. So when I first started, I wanted to look like Zac Efron and the Liver King and The Rock and all these people. You're like, well, I'm going to fucking put the work in to do all that. Turns out they all take steroids, so I'm not going to look exactly like that. But as I went on, and I noticed that a lot of the stress that I was having before that, just if I would work out in the morning, my whole day would be 10 times better. So over the process of me doing this, I was like, wow, this isn't actually necessary for my body, for, just physical, but it's a lot of the mental game too. So in the morning, I go and do a workout. I feel good. I move all this weight. I sweat, and I don't feel stressed after that. I come home, eat a nice meal, shower. And once I get into the practice room, everything's clear. I know what I'm doing. I'm not stressed about anything else. It's like, wow, I can actually have a good day behind the kit or whatever I'm practicing that day. So it does turn out to be a lot more mental than it is physical. Although the physical stuff, it comes with it, which is great. I look great. I feel good. I feel healthy. I take a bunch of the On It supplements as well, and a bunch of other shit too. So that helps too. But yeah, so as I've been going through a bunch of different shit right now in life that's kind of stressful. Nothing pertaining to music, but a lot of stuff on, on the personal end. So I come back feeling like, hey man, everything's going to be all right after that. So I can just go and focus on doing what I need to do instead of like having a dark cloud over your head the entire day, which that relieves it. I mean, it relieves that whole situation. So that's why and recently I've really been trying to go really hard so I don't feel any of that. And it works.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think the thing is that like I find with exercise, if you work out hard enough, you kind of, you know, you mentally, it's very hard to think about, and it's hard to be thinking about anything else anyway, you know. So whereas like nowadays it feels like either the options are have your attention stolen by some bullshit on the internet, or you sit there and your brain's just going a million miles an hour. And it feels like exercise is the only thing where you can, like, you know, even as a musician, where I can sit and get really engrossed in the instrument. There's something about exercise where, because it's actually difficult, you know, it's like it's physically difficult, you have to focus on it, but it's good focus. It's not like that shitty focus where your attention is just like taken away. And I feel like it's good practice, you know, like, again, if I'm having trouble trying to write something, or if I'm trying to do something creative, and there's always that bit, you know, that like one extra rep where you're like, no, I can do that. And it feels like my sort of headspace has gone more towards that as a musician as well. I'm like, no, I can figure that out. Or like, you know, feels like it's really helped. I don't know if you feel it's helped you in a creative sense as well, or is it just
it actually does. So in the same sense that you just said right now, it's like, well, I actually, you know, I went for that last rep or two and I did it. So and that's just physical stuff. So if I just apply that same mentality, if I'm in the practice room, which actually I have a video, maybe I could send it to you. I was kind of feeling something in the practice room that I couldn't necessarily get for years. I'd been practicing Sting's 7 days with Vinny on drums. 7 days is all she wrote. Sort of ultimatum note.
Like, actually, I might not. Now you sang it, I'm like, actually, I don't know it.
It's off of 10 Summoner's Tales. So Vinny did that entire record with him, did the whole tour. So there's a specific live concert that they have on YouTube. I think it's like Oslo 1992 or something like that. There's a thing that like a phrase that Vinny does at the end of a verse going into a chorus, and Sting goes, "All right, come on, Vinny." And then he does this crazy thing. So I've been practicing that since. Yeah, dude, it's all over YouTube. It's been posted. I don't know how many times, but I found it when I was in college because I studied that record, studying at UT, and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing back then, right? And just 2 or 3 days ago, almost 10 years later, I've been picking it up, you know, years later. I was like, I still can't do it. My chops aren't right, or my head's not right to understand what's going on in the music. But just a couple days ago, I was talking with a buddy of mine who I'm playing with, and he's an artist too. I'll let you know later on about the artist who I think should be noticed. But he's a drummer and a guitar player. We were talking about Sting and how certain people can make odd time feel like groovy, where the regular person can do this. You know what I'm saying? They can nod their head to the beat. And that song has a specific groove that Vinny plays that Sting actually told him to play. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Vinny's right hand plays the pulse on the downbeat, and then it switches on the upbeat every other time, or every other measure, right? So we were just talking about that. I was like, man, but you know, pop can be like kind of heady too, but also feel good. And then I was like, well, once he left the practice room, I was like, man, let me revisit this one lick that I have, you know, I've never been able to get. And I sat there for 22 minutes. I remember I put a timer on. I was like, let's see if I can understand what's going on now. Within 22 minutes, I fucking got it. And it was kind of a thing that kind of clicked in my head. That it's like I used that same mentality of being in the gym. It's like, well, let me just try it again. Let me try it again. That mentality over the years kind of like helped in this one specific situation. I don't know if that's making any sense, but I figured it out and I got it to full speed and full tempo. And I, on a even clearer basis, I was like, I know where everything is. I know it's in 5. I counted it out and I played it and I was like, wow, this is, that's one thing that, you know, I never thought could happen back then. And I fucking got it. It's kind of it's a little it's super nerdy, but now I got it to the point where like I'm able to teach it to people too, like in order to count what that phrase is and what the ideas that he's using in that specific phrase. So yeah, that going back to the mentality in the gym, how it helps me in other ways. That's one of the ways. I'm going to get it until, I'm going to sit here until I get it. That next rep every time. That was a long-winded answer, but I hope that makes sense.
That's the whole point of these. Yeah, I can't tell you how many people give like a really interesting answer. They go, sorry, that was really long. It's like, that's the whole point. Like, you know, if we had 10 minutes, I'd be like, okay, like, but no.
Yeah, take it easy, guy. Back up, relax.
No, I kind of, there's something about like, that kind of pursuit, and then when you get it, I've been looking at there's a guitar solo. Do you know Eric Gales?
Of course, from I think he's from Memphis, I think, right?
That rings a bell. Yeah, I don't know.
He's a
blues guitar.
I know. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. I know who you're talking about.
There's a solo of his. The song's called Crystal Vision, and it's not that like well known. It's one of his albums from like, I think it's like 10, 15 years ago, where he wasn't that big at that point. He's kind of blown up recently. And
yeah, absolutely.
I remember listening. I'll send it over to you. But like the solo, it's one of those ones where I'm like, this is genuinely one of the coolest solos I've ever heard. And it's got like 70,000 plays on Spotify or something. Like, it's not in the millions like a lot of his songs, you know, or like a lot of artist songs, you know. And I've been trying to work on that. But obviously he plays a guitar. He's left-handed, but he literally just takes a right-handed guitar and goes and just plays it the wrong way around. Exactly
like Jimmy, right?
Yeah. So the string, but I think Jimmy had the strings the other way around, so he had them like the right
Did he?
way. I think so. So he played a right-handed guitar.
Okay.
He still had the low E string in the right place, whereas Eric he just has them upside down. So he has this way of like pulling the strings because of how he's moving through the strings, he's naturally like pulling them differently. It's a really weird detail, but I found like I'm having to play this stuff and like pull the notes sharp as I go through it. And it sounds really cool, but it's like the weirdest challenge to try, and it's quite quick. It's not like silly speeds. It's quick, you know, it's not easy at all.
Yeah.
But then to play quick and like, you know, there's little details that you can hear them, but it's like, I cannot for the life of me get the nuance that he's doing, you know. In those, and it's always I find I can get a bit sort of engrossed in that for a while. There was something I was looking. I did a brief sort of look into your background and stuff, and I saw that you. Correct me if I'm wrong. This might be like one of those sort of Wikipedia or you know whatever you're wrong with. You said you went to study, and then you ended up sort of. Was it marine biology? Is that right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I studied.
Go on.
No, I studied marine. Well, I studied bio at my first year of college because I didn't get admitted into the music program. I had only been playing drums for a year before that, but I knew I wanted to learn and just do this for a living. So I decided to try it out. I didn't get admitted into the program because I didn't know that in a public university in Texas, if you're going to study music, if you're going to study jazz, you have to also study classical music for a year. And I had no idea that was part of the whole audition process, and I didn't prepare anything at all. So I went in there. I did the jazz audition. The guy came out. I was like, "Whoa, he's got a really good chance of making it in the program." Great, absolutely. 10 minutes later, I go into the audition freaking out because I didn't have anything prepared. I just kind of half-assed did a snare solo, and within 5-10 seconds, the guys were like, "All right, cool, we've heard enough." Moved over to the marimba, 5-10 seconds. Okay, we've had enough. And then they didn't make me play timpani or anything else. They just kind of like, "All right, you'll hear from us soon." And then a couple weeks later, they were like, "Nah, you're not good enough." Well, shit. Back to the drawing board of how am I going to do this? So I was already accepted in at UT, so I had to figure out what I was going to do. And so the marine biology thing comes from my family's background. So I grew up on a ranch and grew up fishing. So hunting and fishing was a big part of my life since I was a kid. So I wanted to just dive deeper into the ecosystems of studying sharks and coastal environments like that. So on the water. So I was like, well, fuck it. Let me just do this. I'm gonna dig into this and also try and practice to get back into the music program. So that whole first semester, I did 3-4 months of nonstop playing classical music, preparing these solos, and then also studying bio and chemistry and calculus and all this other shit, which was a nightmare, to be honest with you. It was like I was so unhappy with everything. But that led to me doing the music thing as well. So I was like, I knew I wasn't going to be happy doing this. Let me try as hard as I can to get back into the program. Turns out at the end of the semester, by the grace of God, it was the right thing to do. I auditioned again. They were like, okay, you're ready this time. And then I ended up studying bio for the rest of that year. And then the years 2, 3, and 4 was all music stuff after that. So I finished the music program in 3 years and just did that 1 year of bio.
Yeah, nice. It's funny because the part of why I brought it up, I'm interested to kind of come back to like the difficulty of sort of making that switch. But like I did a very similar, we kind of have a very similar sort of thing where I did basically the same thing as you. I went to study business at university here in Birmingham where I am, and then realized like, okay, actually I want to go and do music, and literally I did a year of business. And then I remember there was some exams that I was going to do, and I'd gotten into the music school, and Tony Iommi, because obviously Black Sabbath are from Birmingham, was like the university, and he was doing like this really intimate Q&A thing. And it was on the day that one of my business exams was meant to be. And I think, my parents were kind of like, okay, well, finish the year, do the exams and whatever. Because it's like you've been there a year, and it's like, they knew and I knew that I was going to go to the music school, but they're like, you should, just do the exams. But it happened to be on the day of one of the exams. I said to them, I was like, I kind of want to go to this. And they were like, yeah, I guess. So I got to meet the godfather of heavy metal. Got some signed stuff.
That's fucking awesome, man. Holy shit. That's really cool.
So it's kind of smaller, not smaller, what's coincidence, but similar kind of path, which is quite a cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What in terms of what kind of goes through your head when you get rejected from that, and what's the process mentally from, then when you kind of, I'm guessing probably had your hopes up, and then how do you work back towards the point where you get yourself into music school, however long it is later?
Yeah. So that was, I mean, I knew that drum set was my thing. That's what I wanted to do. So when he came out and said that, it's like, yo, you got a good chance of getting in. Okay, cool. That's awesome. It was the shit that I didn't want to do that they were like, nah, you're not good enough. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. It did kind of fuck with me mentally for a little bit. I was like, well, shit, what am I going to do now? So I just used that kind of same determination that I played sports all my life. So my dad was huge on if you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this, you're going to do it 110%, whatever it is you do. Right. So I get rejected. I'm like, well, fuck, what do I need to do to get back in? I got to practice all this classical shit that I don't really want to do, but if it's going to lead me to the thing that I want to do, might as well. So I'm studying bio, and after I finish all that other shit, like schoolwork, so I can stay in school, I just head over to the practice room. There's a couple rooms that have marimbas and snare drums and shit like that, and I would just sit there and run shit over and over again, week after week for 3.5 months, until the audition came up. And I think I talked to Jeff Helmer was the main guy in the jazz department at the time, and I told him like, hey, I know I didn't get in, but I want to reapply and re-audition for all of it. So he sets me up, everything, has the same thing again, and I'm just practicing over those months, figuring it out. Also, like, really kind of worried about, calculus and all this other shit. I dropped out of calculus. I couldn't do it. I'm not that smart. I just was like, well, this is taking away time from me being in the practice room to get to where I want to go. So I dropped that. I was, when you look at the hours on the sheet, I was technically a part-time student, which was, luckily I wasn't on scholarship, because if I was on scholarship, they would have taken away all the money and everything. It's kind of weird to think about right now, but whatever. So I dropped out of calculus, and I just kept the chemistry and bio and English and everything else that I was doing. And with that time, I just put it into shedding. That time comes along where it's like, all right, cool. You're ready to, auditions coming up in a week. So I'm mentally preparing for what's about to happen. On the day of, I think it was during the week, maybe on a Thursday or Friday, I'm walking from my dorm to the music school. I got my backpack, I got my stick bag, I got everything. And there's a big ass, like, there's a couple big ass trees on the way to the music building, right outside the music building. And I remember listening to a song. I'm pretty religious. I have a relationship with God, and a song came up, and it brought me to tears, because I literally sat outside under those trees and I prayed, and I was like, God, please, show me the way. Let me know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing in life. Just give me a sign, give me something. And it's a song called Let Go and Let God. And I listened to the whole thing. I was bawling right before I went into the audition room. Just, that's the sign that I needed, that he goes, hey man, I'm leading it to you. This is what you need to be doing. Do the work. All the time and effort that you've put in this past semester is going to, it's all worth it. Trust me. So I went in there, I dried my eyes, got back into that mentality. I went up and I played everything that I had been doing the past couple months. And they actually, it wasn't a 10-second thing and stop. They let me play the whole thing. And I walked out of that audition room, and they were like, okay, man, great. Within the next day or two, they were like, all right, you've been admitted. We're good. You can now be a music student at UT. So that was like, that was a moment that God showed me he's like, I know you've been working so hard for this. I know you want this. And I felt at that time, and still to this day, drums is what I'm supposed to be doing in life. I'm supposed to be sharing my music with other people and teaching people and helping people the way, other musicians have helped me. So this is my outlet to, spread that light, essentially. So that was like that first moment. And I'll never forget that. He's given me a lot of, different signs along the way, but that was the biggest one, because that kind of started my career, essentially, with that, my learning process, everything.
Yeah. And little did you know the Mexican drum off would appear in
dude. Right.
It doesn't know the show. That's kind of a bit of a weird reference, but have you ever been like, have there been any drum solos where you've been like, oh shit, this guy's good?
There actually has. There's only been one. Okay. Everybody else, they say they play drums and stuff like that, but there's been one guy. He's a Swedish dude. I can't remember his name. Super cool. Actually kind of funny too. And I remember he's talking to Tony. He's kind of like a big white dude with long blonde hair, was wearing a hat that night. He's talking to Tony. He says like, yeah, I play drums. Okay, well, here we go. We're going to do this whole solo. Literally, I got up the kit. I gave him a pair of sticks. As soon as he sat down, I'm literally standing next to Yoni off the stage at Vulcan. I go, oh shit, this guy can play. I didn't, he didn't even do anything yet. He picked up the sticks, and you just kind of have when somebody can play. When somebody picks up a guitar or does, whatever, you have this feeling they're giving off an energy that's like, hey, he kind of knows what he's doing. And dude, he fucking killed it. It was great. He was doing all his like six-tuplet stuff with like a double like I was like, oh shit, fuck yeah, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be really cool. And I looked at Yoni. I said, I told you, I know. And he did really good. But it was like that's been the only time that it's like, oh shit, wow, you know. Everybody else is just comedians who like kind of play drums on the side or whatever. It's been really great, to be honest with you. I would love to play against a great drummer. I mean, I love it anyways. It's great for the show. It means a lot, you know. It's kind of like the David Letterman thing where he shouts out the drummer in every band that he has. It's like, oh, are those your drums? Are those your drums? Those are great drums. So this is like my little lane in this show, and it's great. I'm grateful to even have that opportunity, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's cool how you guys are like part of, you know, you're very much part of the show. You're not just like the background kind of music, just to kind of fill the space as and when. It's like it's very much part of the. Right. I always love it when you just like whenever there's a killer joke and then suddenly it just erupts with all the, you know, like all the musicians just know. I feel like you all just know when to just start playing if someone just kills it with a joke. Like how do you? Oh, go on.
No, I was just gonna say it's you can feel it in the room. I'm not sure if you can feel that energy through the screen, but yeah. when Tony has like a fucking killer thing, or when David, you know, roasts whatever, anything, you can feel it. There's a thing that happens where we're all just kind of in sync, and then you hear the and the crowd goes wild, and Tony kind of looks up and goes, yeah. You know, he goes like that. It's an incredible, it's just an incredible feeling you get, you know. And I have a comedy background, not, you know, I've actually done stand up 2 or 3 times. It's I don't have any time to work on it, but as far as when I was a kid, my dad had vinyl records. So I was one day I was looking through his collection, and I found a Robin Williams record, which I actually still have. It's in a box right here. And like Robin Williams' first record, and then Richard Pryor's Wanted record. So those two were my introduction to comedy, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then growing up seeing Dane Cook, Bill Burr, Eddie Murphy was huge. Like right after I listened to those records, it was when Netflix was like still only giving DVDs. Like you could rent DVDs online, and they send you the little packages. You open up the package. My dad got Eddie Murphy's Delirious and said, "Hey, you need to watch this." And I remember taking out of that little fucking CD flap. I put it in my DVD player. It was actually connected to the TV. You press the disc tray comes out. You put the DVD in. It's a big ass fucking screen. And I'm watching, and I literally sat in awe the entire time. I was like, holy shit, I've never seen anything like this. He's wearing the red-orange leather suit with the opening so you could see his chest, his like zipper. He's wearing all the gold chains, and he's doing Stevie. He's doing Michael Jackson. He's doing Elvis. He's doing all this. He's talking about his dad. Like, oh my, dude, it changed my life, like comedy-wise. It's like, oh, somebody can be as funny as this in front of thousands of people, just him by himself. And that was like, all right, cool. I want to do something that's in this realm. And turns out I'm doing two of my favorite things on planet Earth. I'm playing drums on a comedy podcast with the baddest motherfuckers on the face of the earth. And it's incredible. Stand-up probably wasn't going to be my thing, but turns out I get to play drum. Like I'm still in my lane, but around all these people. It's great. It's great. You know, it's a blessing for sure.
And you make me jealous just talking about it. It's such a cool. I've still not seen that Eddie Murphy. I need to watch that. I know it's such a classic.
You have to. You have to, man. You have to watch it. It's a staple. Like that. That's. I mean, Eddie solidified his crown in comedy. That's that one, and then Raw a couple years later. I think maybe a year or two later. It's in a dark club. He's wearing the purple suit, talking about his divorce. Dude, and there was a certain energy. It was like he was pissed off at shit. You know, he's bringing it was a different light in that one. It's aggressive. That's why it's called Raw for a reason.
Well, what do you think? I got 2 questions. Like, one's so first off, I'm interested to hear just like who are your favorite like stand-ups at the moment, but also like, do you feel like there's a I'm just going to ask you both because this always happens where I ask one and then we go somewhere else. I'm like, I forgot like the three other things. And also, do you feel like there's any sort of link between comedy and music for you, sort of mentally, some sort of thing that like brings them together? So you got two alleyways you can choose to kind of go down conversationally there, but
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think just the linking between comedy and music, the improvisatory aspect of both mediums. You know, there's when guys are doing stand up, you know, you feel as an audience member. When I was a kid, I felt the same way. It was like, wow, he's coming up with that shit on the spot. He's just a funny guy. You come to realize later is like when you're around them, you know, they do a lot of writing. They work on shit all the time. But most when the shit just pops, it's on stage. They're doing that in front of the audience to get a reaction. And sometimes like Tony will think of a thing and just say it and it comes out and we're like, oh shit. That he knows when he figures something out that he didn't write down in a pad or on his phone. It just happens. So when I'm behind the kit, yeah, even today, I played with an artist named Dave Scher. I had, you know, just a regular jazz brunch gig at a restaurant. And I was playing and he was doing something and I was hitting those hits with him and the bass player does the same thing and we're all in motion. The only thing that's different between the improv aspect is that he's by himself doing it in front of a crowd. We work as a team. Do you know what I'm saying? So we have to be paying attention and listening to other people. With in stand up, they're saying the joke or, you know, coming up with stuff on the spot, and they'll get that reaction right away. It's but it's still improv in a way. You know, a lot of the good shit that, you know, Tony's come up with is like he's been on stage fucking around. I love to. He's one of my favorites to see in the Little Boy. After Kill Tony, we'll go upstairs. He'll do a 10-15 minute set and he's just fucking around. Pop, 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 pop. All these jokes, crowds laughing. It's dead in this small like 100-seat room. But that's the improv I think is the biggest connection, for sure. Easy.
Yeah,
and I mean.
Yeah, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's interesting how I never thought about the fact, I guess, that the way I'm watching these comedians, that, you know, the sort of top shelf ones, like I'm kind of going like, how are they coming up with this stuff on the spot? But then I realized, I suppose, you could equally, it's probably loads of comedians who know nothing about music. Like, how do these guys play these? And I'm just like, oh, it's just scales and chords and things like that. But I guess when you know the recipe, or you just know, I guess comedy's a bit different because it's like a bit more situational, isn't it? But I suppose, from the outside in, I have students where, you know, I'll be teaching them a fairly simple pop song and I'll just listen and I'll just play, you know, like there's one today, I can't remember, there was an A minor chord and I just heard it go to an E minor. I just knew that the next chord was an E minor, just listening. And they're like, well, how do you, I'm just like, I don't know, you just know. And it doesn't feel as impressive. And you have to sometimes remind yourself like, oh, people have no idea what's going on in your head, you know. Don't know where I'm going with that. There you go. I wouldn't do this, right? I don't know where.
No. I do know where you're going. So it's all experience as well. So that where you just kind of knew where the music was going. I mean, you probably hadn't heard the song, right? But you've been around music enough. You've played enough pop songs where you go, oh yeah, it's just gonna go here, and you had no idea. But you have that ear of like, oh yeah, I've been here before. You know, it just kind of comes. So with being a stand-up, like when you start, I've done this. I've done a couple open mics where like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I wrote down a bunch of shit. I wrote down like 5 minutes worth of material. I go to the open mic and I say, hey man, I've never been to one of these before. How much time do you usually give? How much time is a set? It's like, all right, it's 2 minutes. Well, fuck me. I have a 5-minute thing. How am I going to whittle that down? I remember writing and I looked at my phone. I was like, what the fuck how am I going to like shave this down to get my point across? I was freaking the fuck out. First time I did stand up. I'm like, well, cool. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And okay, he calls my name. I go up. The first line that I was, you know, that to kind of like catch him, I said it completely wrong. And everybody's like, they're waiting for me to go. But in my mind, I know I fucked up. And then I just forgot the rest of the joke. And then I was just doing stupid shit on stage. and they're laughing at me, but it's that like laugh where like, wow, this guy's like eating shit on stage. And it was like that kind of funny thing. But just thinking about it is giving me like, I'm getting goosebumps, but not the good kind. You're like, I remember what it feels to like, yeah, be made fun of. It's like, well, fuck me. Anyways, it's that same thing.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's I remember discussing
but
it.
that's the experience. Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But if I were to go like today, there was a couple songs that I've never played before. He tells me, he's like, all right, it's this, this, and this. And then you go. It's like, well, I've listened to enough music where if I know where the bass line's going here, it hits the 5, we're coming back around. Or like, you know, you can just feel where, oh, he hits, I don't know. There's a song we played that has an extra bar. And I could just feel that it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then another bar of just kind of like let the chord ring. And then we come back up to the top of the thing. And then it happens every time, right? So now you're also listening to see what this song is actually about. You take one pass at it, and then you're like, okay, cool, I got the song. That's the experience that I know. Like, I've listened to enough music to play. And everybody around me is like, all right, we're hitting here, 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 and the song, you know. But that takes maturity and experience in that specific lane. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah. The thing I'm always impressed by is when you guys, particularly I have to say when I forgot the name of the guitarist in
Matt Muley.
Yeah, when Tony will be like, oh, this song, and you guys will look at each other and be like, yeah, I think we know that, and then you just start playing. And I'm like, what? Like, just purely song knowledge. I don't, you know, if you gave me a few minutes to listen to it, I'm sure I could like have a go, but you know, you'll just be like, oh yeah, that one, and just start playing it. Like, what? How do you just know? Like, because I feel, I don't know, this might sound like a guitarist comment, but I feel like with drums you can, I don't say more easily, it sounds really demeaning, but if you listen to a song first time, you can get the groove a bit more easily than maybe with guitar or like the harmonic side. I feel like it's hard to get on first listen without a couple of like wrong chords for me anyway, you know, whereas I feel like I could hear that I can't play, I know how the drums work, I can't play them, you know, like I can do rock beat 1 and 2, that's it, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could say, yeah, if you gave me a drum group, I could program it, you know, in MIDI or whatever. If you gave me like a chord progression, I'd need to get it wrong like maybe 2 or 3 times just to kind of get it. So I don't know how you guys just, you're like, yeah, we know that one. You just start like, do you just have this sort of encyclopedia of just songs you've done over the years?
That's exactly it. So each and every one of us, me, I'm the youngest one in the band, like by far, actually. And I would say I'm actually this is gonna sound bad, but I'm like the shittiest one in the group, essentially. So I'm playing with a bunch of musical geniuses. It just is what it is. Matt his brain just is, he's fucking amazing. You know, D Madness has been doing this since he was a kid. He's blind. He just has that talent. Not to say they all work hard. Everybody works hard. John Dees is an incredible musician as well. And Paul is kind of a savant too. Us as a unit have been playing even before Kill Tony. Like I've been playing with John Dees since 2016. Same thing with Matt. Paul Deemer, we pretty much he's a little bit older than me, but we were in jazz programs at different schools at the same time. So we were doing a lot of like the straight ahead shit, you know, jam sessions or whatever. And D Manage has just been here fucking forever. You know, he's an Austin legend and is just a legend around the world now. But yeah, so we've all played a bunch of wedding gigs too. Like they're just songs that we know, that we grew up with. So the reason why I know so much songs or an eclectic array, like, or just an array of music anyways, is when my dad was a DJ when I was growing up. Well, actually before I was born, but he had CDs and vinyl and just a collection of a bunch of shit. And him and his best friend today, his name's Gilbert Fossey. He's actually still a DJ now. He's got an entire like back house room, just walls. The entire room is just walls of Green Bay Packer gear, He's a huge cheesehead. And
That
vinyl
means so
records.
little to all anyone in the UK is like, what?
I bet. I bet they have no idea
think
what
I follow.
your football.
Huh?
No, I was gonna say your football is like actual football. You know, soccer to us essentially.
No, I didn't even know that could have been any sport, like any typical American sport that could have been. And I'd just be like, yeah, cool. You could have said like, I wouldn't have known. I assumed football, but like, I know.
Well, you assumed right.
I know the big names. Maybe they're like, who do I? What sports teams? Sorry, I've interrupted you. Sorry, go on.
No. You're good. You're good.
I was just saying.
So like,
I was going to reel off the names of.
Do you know any names of sport of American sports like teams?
Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh shit!
I watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh well, right. You see that you see the stadium in every intro of that show.
Yeah, I can do Yankees, New York Yankees.
Okay, all right. Well, that's an easy one. Next,
Red Sox.
Boston. All right, cool. That's baseball.
Yeah, is that a Bill Burr thing? Is that because is it him?
It is a Bill Burr thing. So like he I think last year or maybe the year before he did 2 nights at Fenway he did 2 nights at Fenway.
I sold
them bitches out. Crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of just fields in general, sorry to cut you off. That's one of my goals as a musician is to play. So I played baseball for 18 years. That was like my thing even before as a matter of fact, I played baseball longer than I've played drums. I'm coming on my 12th year of drums in August this year. But as a professional musician, my one of my main goals is to play Fenway Park, Wrigley Field, and I just because I live here, it's Minute Maid Park. Like if I get to play any of those stadiums, I mean, I'm good. I can stop. Those are my main things because I know I was never going to be a pro athlete. I'm 5'5", I'm 130 pounds. It's just not in the cards for me, and I'm good with it. I'm fine. But if I can play drums in that stadium, it's the exact same thing for me. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I've made it as like in my heart, I'm good.
Yeah, I really want to do a US tour. That would just be that'd be great. Download Festival for me. I'm like a big metalhead, so Download Festival.
Oh hell yeah.
Is like if I could play on the main stage at Download Festival, that would be,
sick.
That would be it. Yeah, I need to get a kind of figure out what I want to do with it at the moment. Like, so I was in a band for a while. Speaking of grooves, actually, I'll play you it. We had a song where we made it. It was an 11/8, but it grooves. Like it's not, hopefully you're not going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, So maybe you are. Well, I mean, maybe musicians, I guess naturally do that. But I've played it to friends who aren't musicians, and they don't sit there going like, "Whoa, what's going on?" It's kind of
right.
But yeah, Download Festival for me. I mean, there's places like Wembley over here, and like the O2
for sure.
Those are like the big places, or like Albert Hall.
Yeah,
Bill Burr did the Albert Hall, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think he recorded I think he did a special there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I saw that special in Birmingham, like when he was doing that tour, and then it was so good. Yeah, like, absolutely.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, I can't. That would have. Yeah, actually, the other question I asked you before was who your favorite stand-ups at the moment.
I'm a huge stand-up fan in general, but like right now is obviously Tony. I get to see him work his shit out. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say every night because I'm also playing, but every Monday night I'll go after the show. He'll do a set, and honestly, whoever the guest is will do they'll do a pop-up set in that room, and it's great to see how they actually get their shit together in front of people. It's fucking awesome. So Tony, huge. Eric Griffin is huge for me. Andrew Schindler, that's my best friend, Andrew Schindler. Shout out Andrew Schindler. He's a guitar player too, which is, he's dope. Andrew Santino. and
he's
Theo
fun,
Von, and dude, Andrew's a shit, dude. I got to. He was a guest on. I think he's been a guest twice now, or maybe just once. But him and like he told one of my favorite things that a comedian has told me, or a guest has told me, he's like, man, you're a fucking killer drummer, man. You sound great. And we played a lot of hip hop that night because I know he's a hip hop head, and it was just we got that connection, and that was a pretty cool moment. Theo Von, huge fan, and Dalia.
Yeah, Theo I recently made a TikTok for my my own musical stuff. I got one for the podcast, but I made one just for me, like putting up my stuff on there. And the only two things I follow are my own podcast and Theo Von. They're the only two things I follow on that. Because I'm like, other than that, TikTok is not worth it for me. So just he cracks me up.
Trash.
Just clips of Theo could keep me going for hours. He's just like I don't
Dude.
I don't understand him as a human being, but he absolutely cracks me up. Like, I don't know if it's real or not. I can't figure it out. He was a guest on the show. Yeah.
I did a drum solo the night that he was on the show, and it was fucking so cool, dude. I went up to, like, we both walked down the stage together, Vulcan, and I was like, yo, Theo, like, it was fun. You know, you were great tonight. I'm a fucking huge fan. It was cool to work with you. And he goes, man, it's like, dude, how did you feel with that drum solo, man? I was scared that you were going to lose your job, man. It was so funny, dude. He's like, man, were you nervous? Were you nervous? He's a good dude. He really is. He's that person. The guy that you see on stage is who he is. And it's cool. It's, there's no facade. He's just a fucking genuine guy who cares about other people as well. And he's just, he's got it. He thinks completely different than everybody else. And that's why he is who he is, and why he's so big and funny. His ideas are just different, out of this world. He's a fucking alien, man.
Yeah. A lot of comedians, obviously, you feel like they're just like normal people, but really, really funny normal people. Whereas when you hear he's different. Like, there's something's different. Like when I hear say Bill Burr, he's like a normal guy that's kind of part of his thing, but he's like obviously just way funnier than like everyone.
Yes,
you're like that's just like a different human being. Is
completely different, man.
Yeah, wicked. Well, I mean, rather than taking your whole, what time is it where you are? I can't remember what.
Let's see.
Early evening, isn't it for you, kind of?
Yeah, it's like 5:15, 5:18.
Nice. Well,
5:18.
I'll let you crack on with your evening. I just need a question for the next guest to start next podcast.
Okay.
And which would be 101. I can't remember if we cut when I said that this is 100 or not. If it was still running at that point.
No, I think you said it right before it cut. It was like, wow, this. Oh, actually, did you?
Because it would have been after, wouldn't it? So yeah, this would be.
I guess it would have.
I need to double check unless I've miscounted. So question for 101. And then also the artist. I think you mentioned that you had one in mind earlier.
Oh yeah. So the artist that I wanna give a little shout out to. Well, I've got a couple. Dave Scherer, I just mentioned today. Him and his girlfriend Andrea McGee are incredible musicians here in Austin, Texas. I get the pleasure of playing with them. I played with him today. Dave Scherer today. He's a guitarist. Well, actually, he's a multi-instrumentalist. He plays everything. He's an incredible singer. His girlfriend's name is Andrea McGee, and she's from Belfast, actually. She's from Ireland. She's been here for a while. You can find them, on Instagram. Andrea McGee, Dave Scherer. I think it's Dave if you like, and Andrea McGee goes under that. But they both have music out. Incredible musicians. And then Miles Miller, who I just started playing with him. He's actually was the drummer for Sturgill Simpson, and now Sturgill's not really doing anything right now. So Sturgill's like, "Yo, I'll help you produce your record, and then it's your turn to do it." And he just moved to Austin from Nashville. He hit me up the other day. Was like, "Yo, man, you interested in playing music with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Came over to my drum shed. We played, and this is actually the guy that I was talking about with the Vinny thing. We were nerding out over Vinny's playing, which is cool because he plays guitar very well. He's an incredible singer-songwriter. Uh, and I'm about to go on tour with him coming up in 2 weeks. So yeah, those three artists, please check them out. All of them are incredible musicians, and incredible people. First off, they're just good people. They care about, they've each one of them have become really good friends. As a matter of fact, Dave and Andrea just messaged me right now while we were doing this. Good people. Check them out, please. Listen to their music. It's good shit for sure. And then the question, since we were talking about a little bit about mental health earlier, I use working out and physical exercise to relieve my brain, stress. For the next person, in what ways do you relieve your stress and to get your mental health in order?
Nice.
That's it. That's a space that I've been in recently. And I'm lucky to have, no physical ailments. I've got a little bit of a back problem, which I think this morning, I'm talking about it right now. This morning, I may have pulled something again. I got to take it easy for the next week. But in what ways do you relieve your mental health, like your stress, and keep your mental health in order?
Nice one. Yeah, awesome. Is there anything you want to kind of plug to the world to finish up?
Yeah. Well, so with Miles, I'll be on tour. Let's see, here are my dates. I've never done this before. This is kind of cool. I feel like a comedian.
Depending on when this comes out, it depends when you're. I'll let you know when this will come out. So,
absolutely.
You may have been on tour by when this comes out.
May, you never know. Okay, so June, I'll be on the road. June 6th, Masonic Theater in Detroit. June 8th, the Salt Shed in Chicago. June 9th, the Hollywood Casino Theater in Maryland Heights, which I think is St. Louis. And then June 11th, Jacobs Pavilion in Cleveland. And then actually in between that, June 10th is the Kill Tony 10-year anniversary. So I'm flying back from St. Louis that night, hitting Kill Tony that next day. And then in super early in the morning on Sunday, I fly back out to Cleveland.
I won't ask for any spoilers, but is there anything exciting planned for the 10-year?
To be honest with you, I don't know. The only thing that I'm trying to do as a drummer is I'm trying to have a big hit that night. I want to do a little something different. I want to have a lot of drums and big cymbals, and a double pedal maybe. Who knows, dude? Who knows? We're figuring it out. Yeah.
Cymbals and stuff. Yeah, I'll get the ones behind you. Get the gong.
I wish, dude. I'm not Sugarfoot, man. Jonathan Moffat does that thing himself. He goes, bah,
yeah.
Bah, bah. That's so Michael Jackson's drummer. I definitely. Yeah. He hits it and then chokes it out. Yeah. Hey, bro, relax. You're dope. We get it. He's incredible. I love
face as well. Like he's just there, like
chewing gum. He's chewing gum and doing the whole like karate chopping thing in the back. John Blackwell used to do that shit too, and I mean with Prince too. Bah, bah, bah. It's like, oh shit, crazy.
Nice. Well,
yeah, and then I guess my Instagram too is you can look me up, Michael Gonzalez, or I think my handle is Mike A Gonz 13, which is funny because Tony always makes fun of me. I have my Instagram handle is like a fucking password.
The Wi-Fi password, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. It's been great chatting.